These simple drone moves are going to make it a lot more fun to fly your drone and ensure that you capture cinematic content each time you fly. I'm going to be using either the left or right joystick along with my gimbal to capture really simple but smooth and beautiful video. It's really important that you have some go-to moves when you're a drone pilot, and this video I'm going to show you some of my favorite that are basic, easy to master, and you can fly in any conditions. You don't need to be a pro to use a drone and capture really cinematic looking video to add to your vlogs and the pieces of content you're creating. You just need to make sure that you practice and master some of these moves. These moves will also ensure that your videos that you capture and share with the people that you love or as pieces of content will stand out from the rest of the crowd. So let's get into today's video. If you're new around here, my name's Denim. Welcome to the channel. I share everything that I learn about my drone. I fly the DJI Mini 2 currently, but the moves that I show you can be used on any drone. So if you're wondering, how do I get the best content? How do some of the pros do it? Well, it starts with getting the basics right. And these moves, even for the pros, are really important when it comes to creating beautiful video. Make sure to hang around to the end of the video because I do see a common mistake that a lot of drone pilots make when they're trying to capture cinematic footage. I'll share that with you and how to avoid that so that each time that you fly, you get the most out of your 30 minutes of flight time. Before you start flying your drone, you need to understand a couple of key concepts when it comes to capturing cinematic footage from your DJI Mini 2 or any drone that you're flying. The first thing is symmetry. You want to make sure that your image is always divided equally, and what I mean by that is simply divide your image into two. So if you've got a landscape you're looking at and you've got grass on one side and you've got the sky on the other, you've got to make sure that you've got an even amount of each landscape and the sky in your actual video frame. You don't want to have too much of the sky, for example, versus the grass. The best way to do that is set up the grid in your video settings of your DJI Mini 2 or any drone that you're flying, just to make sure that you've got some kind of guidelines. So when you're up in the air, you're not having to focus too much. You just make sure that your frame fits and then you've got some form of symmetry in your image. And then the next thing you want to make sure is the lower that you fly, you should either look to fly in either normal or cinematic. That's generally what I like to do because you're lower to the ground. Those two modes give you a little bit more room for error, and if you do have to sort of dodge and weave some objects close to the ground, at least you can do that and your drone's not moving at its fastest pace. The further away you get from the ground, I generally like to fly in sports mode. That's because the sheer vastness of the land that your video can actually capture, it can make it look like your drone's not moving if you're in cinematic mode. So flipping it across to sports will help it add motion to your image and it doesn't look like your drone's just sitting there still. So the first move that I like to practice is called a pullback. It's really simple and all you've got to do is take the right joystick, which moves the drone back, forwards and left and right, and simply pull it towards you. So all I'm going to do here, I'm going to grab my left joystick and I'm going to pull that backwards. Now you got to make sure that you don't have any obstacles behind you and that the drone is capable of being able to be pulled back. So what I like to do is use the left joystick and just turn on its axis. Because this drone doesn't have any obstacle avoidance to the rear, you want to make sure that you're not flying into anything when you do pull back. This move is a great way to reveal something, show the vastness of a subject and what's behind it. So I really like the effectiveness of this move. I'm only very gently pulling this back, so as I pull back, you can see what it starts to reveal. The next move I've got is the top down. This is a classic drone viewpoint, and it's only something that a drone can capture. You couldn't do this before drones were out, so being able to do this as a creator is awesome. And the way I like to use this is if I do have a subject or a point of interest, I like to start quite close to the ground and add that reveal to it. As I move the drone up and away from the subject, I'll have the gimbal face down, and that is it. So let's set this gimbal right. So you've got the gimbal scroll at the back here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt the gimbal down by scrolling to the left, and what that'll do is it'll face the gimbal down towards the ground. Now the drone's set to go. It's just sitting behind me here. I'm flying in sport mode at the moment. Remember that if you're going to a different height, I generally like to do that in sport. So simply all I'm going to do is on the left joystick here, one hand, you don't need anything else. Gimbal's pointed down already, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to push up. Add that top down move. It's a classic drone move. A lot of pros like using it. You know, it's something that it doesn't take long to master, but write it down. Plan your drone flight. Put this one in it because it's going to add so much value to your drone videos that when you do actually capture something beautiful like this. When the drone's up in the air, the other thing you want to try to do is a reveal on the horizon. And that is a simple move with one gimbal move. And all you're trying to do is tilt the camera up towards the horizon so it can reveal what's behind you. So I generally, when I've done the reveal up, I'll take the gimbal scroll and I'm scrolling to the right. And as I scroll to my right, which will be your left on the screen, as I do that, the gimbal will start working its way up and reveal the horizon. So let's try that out. Really simple, no joystick movement. The drone's sitting steady up there. You want to make sure that you're not doing this too fast. You want to make sure that that gimbal rotation is even, and you'll see that it's coming up to 90 degrees, and I'm not going to go any further. You can see what I mean by symmetry in this image. I've got the landscape, I've got a horizon, I've got the housing in the back. So if I really wanted to get this shot right, I may even tilt the gimbal a little bit higher and get rid of some of the foreground, get it to about 90 degrees and on an even plane. And that just makes for a better looking shot. Now I've probably got too much sky in there for what I'm after, so tilt down and have a play with it. So the next move I've got is called a pan. In Hollywood, they would call this the dolly shot. It's essentially a camera that would sit on a gimbal and it would slide it from left to right or right to left, whichever way you want it to go in whichever direction. The keys to this one is that you want to make sure the drone is low as possible to the ground. You're going to get the drone to go left or right. And in this instance, I'm going to take the right joystick and I'm just going to simply push to the right. You can see the drone will just pan across, and I encourage you to learn how to use the joysticks in a smooth way that's not going to make your flights really jerky, and as a result your video will be pretty horrible. And that's another awesome shot to add to your vlogs and your pieces of content. Now the final move I've got is again another really simple basic move that you should incorporate in all your videos, and that's a simple push forward. In either cinematic or normal mode, again you're low to the ground. So for this, because it's quite windy, I'm going to go with normal mode today. And to do this move, all you got to do is push the right joystick here and you got to push it forward. I've got these trees here, and as the wind kicks up there, I've got to be a little bit careful. My drone's moving around a little bit, but I'm going to take my right joystick and I'm going to simply just push forward really smoothly. Now you can push a little bit faster if you want, and that adds to the movement and motion into your video. And that's another awesome move to add into your pieces of content. Now I promised you that I would give you a little mistake that all drone pilots and people that are flying their drones and trying to capture video make. They start flying around, buzzing around, and they land their drone, take their drone home, unpack the SD card, have a look at the footage they've captured, and it's rubbish. One of the main reasons for that is because you've got unusable pieces of video, because they use these, you know, a bunch of different drone moves. They didn't stick to a plan or have kind of a little system to follow for themselves. And because of that, what happens is they don't hold their shots for long enough. So what I mean by that is, if you've got your drone up in the air and you want to do a pan shot from left to right, you want to make sure that you film at least 10 to 15 seconds of each shot. If you don't do this, what'll happen is you'll end up with these little micro clips that you can create, but nothing that you can put into a compilation, because all the other video you've just taken 1-2 second shots, and then the drone becomes unsteady and then the video is no good. So make sure that when you go to fly, you take these 5 drone moves, you start creating a little system or run sheet of different shots that you want to capture, but also make sure to hold your shots for at least 10 to 15 seconds so that when you get home, if your drone moved around because of the wind, because you pressed the wrong button, or the joystick moved around for whatever reason, you've got enough content and pieces of video that you can actually clip down. Now, it's not even a bad idea to hold your shots for at least 20, even 25 seconds, but some instances you're not going to be able to do that. You want to make sure that most of that is smooth and usable video. If not, it'll be a waste of time. Make sure that you do use that tip when you're flying next time. That's all I got for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. 5 really simple drone moves with using either one of the joysticks and the gimbal. Incorporate them into your videos. I promise you that it'll make your videos that much nicer to look at and something that you'll be proud to share with your audience, as well as the people that you are, your friends and your family that are interested in your drone videos. If you did like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you liked, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments section below of the different pieces of content that you'd like to see, or if you've got any questions for me. If not, I hope you have a wonderful day and take care over this Christmas period. I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.